an actor, producer, best-selling author, and an astrophysicist. Of course, we're talking about the one, the only Neil deGrasse Tyson. In his National Geographic show, StarTalk, Neil chats with celebrities about science.
One of his guests in the new season is the late Anthony Bourdain. He told Neil that the one thing astronauts crave most. Watch.
Astronauts get it really bad, and the stuff they crave more than anything, so Mr. Yeager told me, is hot sauce. Like, you know, Tabasco or anything spicy, because up there everything tastes bland.
So you're telling me those bulky areas in their spacesuits, they're smuggling bottles of hot sauce on the way up?
Neil deGrasse Tyson, good to have you this morning.
Well, thanks for having me.
I love this so much.
What's it like going back watching that episode?
Yeah, it's a little spooky actually, because it wasn't that much before we learned of his death. But you feel privileged that you get to save some part of him in a context that maybe people did not otherwise know. That he's got some geek in him. These conversations with celebrities, it's for StarTalk's mission is to explore all the ways that science may have touched your life, no matter what your profession is. Because I happen to know in advance that science is everywhere. So I got this. Well, I know we're going to find it. But also in there, you get to reveal whether people have some kind of inner geek where there's not another occasion for that to be manifested. And you can express that on StarTalk.
And that's what's so great about this show. As a science geek myself, and I'm very starstruck right now, StarTalk really does make light of science with celebrities, and everyone, you get into this deep conversation, areas where you don't think science exists.
And they love it.
And they love it, I know.
Because it's always, you know, to grab a celebrity out of their very busy schedule, you know, and now it's just another interview, because they do that all the time. Yeah. And for so many of them, they would tell me after, that was my favorite interview ever. And it's like, I'm glad, because people need to know that science is everywhere. Otherwise, you're thinking, I don't need to know science, I'm thinking something else. But science informs policy. Science is the foundation of our health, our wealth, our security going into the next century. Without it, we should just move back into the cave.
You've had some serious celebrities on this show. I mean, everyone from Stephen Hawking to Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, the list is long. Bill Clinton, Jeff Goldblum, Al Gore. Is there a dream guest? Is there someone you haven't had on yet who, if they might be watching or listening, you want to invite them on?
Obama, please. So I wanted him as sitting president, but I'll take him as an ex-president. That's fine. I don't think we can pull this off reliably, but every year I wanted some sitting head of state from somewhere in the world. Because at some point, science plugs back into important decisions that a head of state needs to make about the health, wealth, and future of their country. So, and just to compare notes, so what are you doing in that part of the world, if not in this part of the world? So, and it turned out that wasn't realistic to require that of a guest schedule, but we've got other... but I'm very happy with the list. The mixture of, but it's not just actor celebrities, it's politicians, it's performers, and occasionally people who do things that you didn't know were so important. A couple of years ago, I interviewed one of the founders of Twitter. And I didn't know at that time. He's not a household name. People, Twitter fans might know him. Biz Stone was his name. But one of the things he said is Twitter enables humans to flock. And I said, what do you mean? Well, birds are individual while they're pecking away. Then something happens, and then they all do this. And then when they figure out they're done, then they come back and they're individuals again. Twitter can garner people's behavior, thoughts into one coherent action, and then you release it and you're back being your individual self. So little things like that are insights into our lives, our culture, and the way science and technology has touched us.
Can I just ask one quick personal question
What's that?
Since I have you here? So, speaking of Mars, you know, and maybe one day we'll get to Mars, and is there life on Mars? Why is it that when we're trying to find other life forms, do we always have to find water? How do we know that there's a life form that doesn't exist, that doesn't need water or oxygen?
Okay, so water is made of hydrogen and oxygen. H2O, remember that from your gym? I'm just saying. These are two of some of the most common ingredients in the universe. So you might say maybe the life form. I saw a comic once where there's this alien, there's a crashed saucer in the desert, and the alien is crawling, and it says, ammonia, ammonia. Apparently it wanted ammonia.
Did you get that? I like that joke. I love that one. I can't wait to tell that joke.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. It's okay. At least some of the universe sits above all our heads.
That's true. That's a good point. And for me, it's got like
millions
of people.
See what I did there?
We're out of time.
We're out of time.
Just come into my dressing room and just tell me the rest of that story. So,
All right.